This meeting is being recorded.
Martina, are you good for the introduction?
I am. Thank you so much. And I just want to say it's my fault. Deb was going to do the introduction, but clearly my email update is not accurate. So I'm going to do it on behalf. We are so excited to have Barb back at our meeting. As everyone knows, her mom was a treasured member of our club, and any opportunity to get Barb back at the club to share updates is thrilling for us. Barb Anie is an experienced media marketer with over 17 years of expertise specializing in brand partnerships, strategic solutions, and digital sales strategy, with a Bachelor of Commerce degree from Ryerson University. Currently, she leads the go-to-market strategies for key accounts and corporate partnerships across Torstar. Prior to Torstar, she channeled her marketing media expertise through her employment at Bell Media and the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. In late 2021, she was also appointed to sit on the board of Green First Forest Products. Barb is an active volunteer with a focus on philanthropy and advocacy. This includes being the president of Schools of Dreams charity, 100% volunteer run, a role she stepped into after her mother's passing in June 2019. Dora Anie founded Schools of Dreams in 2004 and was the fellow and active Rotarian, and we know how important she was to our club. Barb works tirelessly to support all aspects of the charity, committed to building Dora's legacy. She also volunteers her time as co-chair of Torstar's Diversity and Inclusion Committee, leading the talent acquisitions and outreach pillar, and also sits on the boards of West Park Foundation and the Toronto Botanical Gardens. Barb is a member of ICD Institute of Corporate Directors and resides in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Barb, welcome back to the Rotary Club of Hamilton, Stoney Creek now, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. All right, I am going to share my screen. Please let me know when you can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
All righty.
Yes.
Okay, great. So thank you for having me back. I really appreciate it. So I always look forward to, number one, just sharing the Schools of Dreams story, but this group in particular is, really close to my heart because, so many of you knew my mother. So I know that this group is a combination of the Rotary group that my mom was part of, but I think you've also combined with another group. So I recognize so many faces, but just because I sort of knew that as a bit of a heads up, I did put a presentation together, but I've structured it in a way that gives a little bit about our history and then also talks about what we are currently working on and sort of some things that have happened in the last year or so. So I just want to start with sharing a quick video so you can actually see the work that we're doing in action. We were really lucky to get a really amazing photographer, I think it was in 2020, to take a bunch of photos of the project that we just completed. And he also did an amazing video that really sort of captures the work we do. So please let me know if you can hear it.
Yes, we can hear it.
Yes.
My name is Robert Samaha, the headmaster of Ekufukrom MA Basic School. The school is located in the Insama municipality of the Eastern region of Ghana. I'm very happy to see this project going on and how it is going on. Teachers are also happy because it's going to help the population in the school to increase and to help the future generation to also learn and become good citizens in the country as we live in.
My name is Mercy Bauer. I am a departmental head for the KG department. It was a long time that this Dream Ghana came around here and we approached them and they said they will help us get a KG building. So we introduced the place for them. By then the KG had no building. We were sitting under a shed. So they decided that they will contribute and help us have an KG building. So they decided to help us by building it bit by bit. But about 4 or 5 years now that they've started the building. But God willing, nowadays it is getting to the finishing point of the building. So we want to say that we appreciate what they've done for us and they've helped the whole community and in Sawam Adriajiri municipality. Because nowadays the children are happy and the teachers too are happy. Now we learn comfortable, we sing and we dance because of them. So I want to say, God bless them and give them more money, God, more healthy environment so that they can help others too. Now we are very happy, the teachers too are happy. Now we have a comfortable environment when which the children can learn. And now we even admit more children because of this building. So I want to say we thank them, God bless them. And they give them more money to help other countries too.
All right. So I should say, if anybody has any questions along the way, please just either, yell out or put your hand up or whatever you feel comfortable with. Oh, there's a question already. Okay, yes. Oh, I think you're on mute. It's Jim. Is Jim speaking?
Jim, do you have a question?
Muted. Okay, now,
There we are.
yeah. Could you give us an overall view of the education system in Ghana to see where you fit into that?
Sure. So, Ghana has a couple of systems. There's a public system and a private system similar to here. With the public system, that's where Schools of Dreams comes into play. So I always say the government does what I consider to be a little bit of a weird kind of situation where, they're very active to provide teachers in the different schools across the country, but they are not active in the maintenance of the buildings. And particularly in the rural area, I think it becomes a little bit of a, out of sight, out of mind kind of situation. So where Schools of Dreams comes in is that we will work with the local Ministry of Education. And because we are so small, a couple of years ago, we decided that we are going to really focus in the one area that's, I think you heard the teacher say it there, but it's called the Municipality of the Intalom region. So it's sort of like, picture a province like Southern Ontario, for example. We are focusing in a hyper sort of concentrated area just because we are so small. So what we do is we will work with, we have a application process that we've developed. We'll then work with the community and the school to, once we've selected them, to build the school with the permission of the ministry. We, the time that we're building the school is in our care, I guess you could say. And then what we do is we will hand that back to the school. So, or back to the ministry, I guess you could say. So, it's very much about empowering the areas to help them build the school, but then we hand it back to them. We have nothing to do with teaching, learning, education, any of that. Does that
And
answer your question?
You just supply the infrastructure.
Supply the infrastructure, but it's really interesting. And as I go through, you'll see that, the building has so many positive benefits besides the actual just structure, with increase in enrollment and teachers, wanting, being happy and staying, and all of these other things. So it's yeah, the physical building is what we take care of, but I think it produces a lot more.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Okay, so just a quick history for those of you who don't know. Like we sort of talked about already, so Schools of Dreams was created by my mother, Dora Anie, after me, her, and my sister went to Ghana in 2003. In particular, we went to her hometown, which the school there was in horrible conditions. And she, when she came back to Canada, she had to do something. So it started off as a little project that we called Dora's Dream at the time, and turned into a grassroots organization, which then in 2018 turned into a registered charity. We have a dedicated board of directors. We're 100% volunteer run, and we work with other community partners and connect with other groups such as yours. So our mission and vision. Our vision is a world in which all children have safe access to education. And then our mission is Schools of Dreams works with local communities in Ghana to build schools and empower children through safe access to education. Just a little bit about Dora. I think, again, I know a bunch of you know this, but for those of you who are new, so she was born in Mipom, Ghana in 1949. That is where the first project took place in Mipom. Her and my dad emigrated here in 1973, and then settled in Hamilton to raise myself and my sister. Schools of Dreams was founded the year after she came back from Ghana, so in 2004. And it was really, focused to help change the lives of children in rural Ghana. Like I mentioned, again, it was the building, but the access to the building is what sort of becomes a bit of a game changer. And in 2018, after a decade of trying to get charitable status, Schools of Dreams was able to get that, which was amazing. Really sadly, less than 8 or 9 months after that, my mom passed away from ovarian cancer. One of her final wishes was to donate $10,000 to the charity in her name, which we did honor that wish. In 2019, and I think, again, some of you Rotarians know this because I mentioned this the last time, but she was featured in the Globe and Mail as one of the most recognized, one of the most remarkable, Canadians who died in 2019. And this is just a few sort of snippets of some of the really positive press that she'd gotten before her death. So the Globe and Mail, like I mentioned, she was also on the Marilyn Dennis show to profile the work of the charity. And the Hamilton Spectator has done an amazing job even after her passing of just helping to continue to tell the Schools of Dreams story. So some of the work to date, like I mentioned, we are a very small charity, and not until 2018 did we have charitable status. But what used to happen, and I think a lot of it in part to the sort of just amazingness that was my mom, is that people would donate out of the kindness of their heart, whether they were getting a tax receipt or not, and it was dollar by dollar, which was amazing. But on the flip side, it became a bit difficult because it meant that progress was slow. And it also meant that, budgeting, especially in a market where inflation goes up and down, was really difficult. So, the work that we've done today is that we've rebuilt and renovated 2 nursery schools, 2 junior kindergartens, and a lunchroom, which is included as part of the nursery school program. We completed a school in Akufukom, which is the school that you saw in that video, which was 4 classrooms, an office, and a storage room. We selected our latest project, which is in a village in the same region, but it's called Huachicrom. So work is about to break ground on that one. And that school was, we decided as an organization that one of the things we wanted to do to continue the legacy of my mom was the next school that we were going to build, which is going to be Huachicrom, will be renamed in her honor. And this is how we sort of kicked off our fundraising program called Dora's Dream, because as I mentioned earlier, that was sort of the project name when it was sort of seen to be this one project that we called that Schools of Dreams started from. We also last year developed a school selection process to make sure that we were actually, you know, as we are growing as a charity, we're creating a really transparent process to select schools. Like Nippon was selected because it was my mom's hometown. And Akufukon was chosen because the story I had heard is that my mom was driving through a community and she saw kids learning under a tree, and she, you know, went up to them and learned more about the school. But, you know, as we sort of mature as an organization, we knew that we couldn't just, you know, pick things we wanted. We had to, you know, develop a merit-based system. So we've done that. So the impact of the school, I think, Jim, maybe this will sort of address what I was mentioning before of, you know, yes, we do just focus on the structure, but, you know, one of the things that they have as a bit of an issue in the rural areas of Ghana is retention within teachers, because these schools are in such poor condition. You know, these, as a teacher, you get stationed, you know, across the country. So, you know, picture a teacher who is living outside of their home city, and they have to teach at a school that's, you know, dilapidated or non-existent. It's, you know, really hard to retain. But we know and we've seen that when the schools are built, the teachers are happier and they will stay. And it also just provides for a better learning environment. I've seen a video where a bunch of kids were learning under a tree, and it started to rain and class is over at that point. So, you know, having, you know, proper building just adds to the ability that they can continue to learn even more. And we've seen not the headmaster in the video, but the previous headmaster at Akufukrom gave us some stats that told us that the enrollment of the one particular group was at 56 and increased to over 500 when we had our new structure in place. And, you know, there's lots of other benefits. All of the workers are local. So, you know, we're supporting the local economy, the parents are happier, et cetera, et cetera. So before, like I mentioned, they're teaching on learning under a tree. This is an actual picture. And, you know, now this is the Akufukrom building. This was actually when it was like, I would say probably 75% done. So it's, you know, it's fully complete at this stage. And then some other things about the organization. So we've had some changes on our board. We're rounding out our board to add to our skill set. So in the past 6 months, we've filled the board with a few key individuals. So Dora Adobia, she's come on to lead our marketing group. We have Cassie, who is our treasurer. For those of you who heard were part of the chat that we did, I think was maybe about a year and a half ago, you might remember that I came with Franca Hoda, who was our fundraiser. Franca's term was actually over, so she did not renew her term. So we have a new fundraiser. Her name's Claire Dennis. And then Faraz Kareem Ansari is on leading our governance area, which is something that we had just started to do a little bit of work around. But again, as we sort of grow and mature as a charity, we're working to sort of round out all aspects of our area. You know, one thing that I'll say about our board that I'm really happy about is that we continue to have a really diverse board in terms of gender and in terms of you know, ethnicity. So that's something that I'm really proud of. So some of the highlights that have taken place over the 21-22 year, the reason I say 21-22 is because we calculate our fiscal year goes from September to August. So that's how we sort of calculate our milestones. For those of you who who knew the charity before, you might remember we had sort of like a leaf kind of logo. We did a full brand audit and got an amazing designer to come in and help reshape our entire look. So this is our new logo, really inspired by Ghanaian textiles, and then also the sort of building blocks of a school. We hosted our second annual Dora's Dream campaign, which is our fundraising campaign that we launched due to not being able to do our in-person event because of COVID. We had a board retreat. We also developed a partnership with a legal firm in Toronto called Blake's that supports pro bono charities. So we are getting support from them, which is really amazing to keep our costs as low as possible. We established a governance committee. We also added to the board, like I mentioned, and we also established an advisory council. So knowing that we're a working board and not everybody who's able to support us is able to support in the capacity of a working board, we developed this advisory council to be a group of strategic individuals that we check in with and we have 2 formal meetings with them per year, but we check in with them on a regular basis and they help support the organization. We also had a student from McMaster, their engineering program, ask to participate, to use his capstone project, which is your year-end engineering project, to be about Schools of Dreams. So that actually developed into an amazing relationship where he did develop it as part of his capstone project, but he also is taking it one step further. So now that he's graduated this year, he is going to actually be developing a full modular plan for us that we will be able to implement. And the focus will be on sustainability and using products that are more environmentally conscious. So, you know, that's been something that we've really wanted to focus on as an organization, is to how do we be more sustainable? How do we make sure we're doing this in a way that the schools are going to actually last? We also were selected to be part of Mohawk's advertising program called the Agency. So they have students who use real companies to develop advertising and marketing programs around. So we worked with them on that and we got some really great insights. We also developed a number of different key committees. So we know that on our board, like I mentioned, because it's a working board, we need more hands and, you know, not necessarily more board members. So we developed committees within different areas of our groups, and committee members are people who, you know, support the organization, but they're not necessarily board members. We also did a virtual silent auction, which was really fun. We are focusing on our monthly donor program, which we've renamed the Homework Club. We have a 3-year strategic plan, which we are currently just finishing. So we're working on developing our next 3-year strategic plan. We've also started to focus on applying for some grants to help diversify where our fundraising efforts come from. We also are working on a Ghana operations committee, knowing that you know, we need to just get a better handle on the activities that are going on. And also we currently only have 2 volunteers who are working with Schools of Dreams there. So from a succession planning standpoint, and then also from just getting more feet on the ground, we're working to sort of round out that group. The more sustainable development, like I mentioned, that's going to be happening as part of this student who's going to be working with us. And then we've also, the phase 1 has essentially kicked off. We've not broken ground yet on the new project, but it's in the works. We have some challenges, of course, as a board. You know, we in general are still quite small. So we're, you know, working on sort of just expanding our reach and like awareness of people who know about us. We the type of fundraising that we did for Dora's Dream is in a way called peer-to-peer. So we do get a number of one-off donations, and some of them, quite large and significant. But otherwise, we use individuals to help fundraise on our behalf. And, that's just a number that we need to just continue to help foster. So that's something that we are thinking about. Also, for those of you who had attended any of the in-person events in the past, the Taste of Africa, we haven't done it since COVID's hit. So that's something that we're thinking about, what does that actually look like for the future? We are a group that has really, really lofty goals, which sometimes can turn to a little bit of board member burnout, and also us just having to evaluate, like, what do we really want to do really well versus like how much stuff do we want to do. So it's really sort of that balance, that sobering conversation that we have to ask ourselves about. We were also working on Imagine Canada accreditation, which is a fundraising accreditation. But again, back to the sort of what do we want to focus on, we decided to stall those efforts for a little bit. I'm just checking my time here. Am I okay for time, Tina? Oh, I think, is Tina first?
I think she's muted.
I can't hear you. No, okay, I'll oh, we can't hear you, Tina. So just, I guess I'll just keep going. I'll keep going quickly. So Dora's Dream. So this is a campaign we started because we weren't able to have our in-person event due to COVID. Remarkably, it was, very sad that we weren't able to do this event, but it allowed us to sort of think of things in a different way. And we moved to 100% an online platform to fundraise. And our year one, we had a goal of $60,000 and we ended up raising 80. And last year we had a goal of 90 and we ended up raising just a little bit under 90. This year, our goal is 117,000, where we have a focus of trying to double our revenue, our fundraising revenue in the next 5 years. So, we're being very ambitious. This year, our fundraising campaign, we're going to be using the GoFundMe platform, which is going to really help with our ability to storytell. So that's a new thing that we're doing. And then that's the rest of the presentation. So does anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I seem to see more boys in the school than there are girls. But what's the ratio of the students, like the female to male?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually don't know. I can find that out and get back to you. Every school I think would be a little bit different. But I've never actually had that question before. I can find out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Just a comment, Barb, thank you. But the fundraising efforts, it's been so challenging, and particularly with COVID, obviously. If you are a charity providing emergency food and shelter, then there was plenty of money coming in for that. And if not, it was a real struggle for charities. And now, of course, coming out of the pandemic, donations are down in general from individuals. That's across the board. Throw into that a war where lots of efforts, rightly so, are going to support that, but local charities are suffering. So I just say to you, just keep plodding on with it, and grants really are the way to go. So I was glad to hear that you're focusing on grants, because there are lots of granting organizations out there throughout North America.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to chat with you offline around that if I can offer some support.
Oh yeah.
there.
that would be great.
And then the last thing I wanted to comment on, you said about the Imagine Canada accreditation. That's a lot of work, and I would say I agree that you put that on hold. But what you can do is look at their list of standards to help you just make sure that you're on the right track, right? So I'm with a larger organization, and we put it on hold as well for the same reasons. We don't have the staff that can focus on all of those standards. So we just follow the standards to ensure that we're doing everything right, but we haven't bit the bullet to go the actual accreditation route yet. So everything that I've seen just there in your presentation looks like you're coping well and on the right track. So, but it's a challenge ongoing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing we do know about our organization, which, you know, becomes a little bit of a challenge sometimes, but just recognizing it is, like you were saying about fundraising, you know, because we are a Canadian organization here that supports internationally, you know, that adds another sort of extra layer, because to your point about, you know, lots of sort of grants and funds available, majority of them are for supporting locally, which is, you know, totally fair and fine. And I support that as well. So it's sort of just, you know, having to do the extra due diligence to find the ones that would actually apply to us. But I mean, I would say what's so amazing is that there's so many, you know, long-term supporters who have, you know, been with the organization, like when my mom was just fundraising, you know, dollar by dollar kind of thing, that are still, you know, eager to know what's happening with the charity and wanting to stay in touch. So that's really great. And I think, you know, under my leadership, it definitely looks a little bit different just because we're different people, different strengths. And I think, you know, also just a bit more, you know, a bit of a focus on sort of digital first, which is great. But I think, you know, what my mom had was relationships, which is so amazing. And I'm still trying to keep as many of those as possible.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, Barb, if you determine that the Taste of Africa is worth your worthwhile resources that you have and whatnot, I'm looking forward to it. What a fantastic celebration of your culture, beautiful, colorful evening, great food. I'm looking forward to it if you get back to it.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. I mean, part of what we are thinking about is, you know, as we've grown our board during COVID and as things have sort of, you know, shifted and changed, our board actually is not necessarily just rooted in Hamilton. So, which sort of our donor base has started to, you know, widen as well. So that's part of what we're trying to think about, is how do we support, like it almost feels like it becomes figuring out, you know, how do we support in the Hamilton area, and then how do we support in the, you know, Toronto, rest of Ontario area. So we're still trying to figure out what that looks like, especially because we also tried to do an in-person event last year, and because things with COVID were still so up and down, it finally feels like they're sort of like stable, but it was so up and down that we ended up having to cancel. So, you know, we just want to, before we do anything in person, we want to like fully make sure that things are, you know, are going to be okay to do that.
Sure.
If I can come in here, I was going to bring up a couple points that actually Tina raised. You're talking about Imagine Canada accreditation. It's not that I want to put a negative light on it, but I've just heard two organizations that have decided to slow down the process. I'll give you a third one. I'm on a board for another organization. We've been basically working at the accreditation for about the last 2 years, and we just find that the work involved in getting, you know, the documents and you know, the governance processes up and going, really were sucking the energy out of the you know, the other part of what the board was actually supposed to be doing. So you know, I commend you if you can actually get the accreditation, but I understand the necessity to basically pull back because it is a lot of work.
Oh, that's interesting to hear. Thank you for sharing that.
And if you needed a lot of precedences on accreditation, we were like about 80 or 90% close to it. It's just that with other things going on right now, you know, we anyway, lots of paperwork.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is we as an organization, we really want to focus on the work. And it, like, to your point, not that Imagine Canada is not great, but it does, you know, if you're doing one thing, you're not doing another thing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's that balance.
Great. Well, thank you, Barb. Any more questions or comments for Barb? All right. Myra.
Well, Barb, on behalf of our club, what an amazing presentation. Like, your mother's legacy truly lives on through you. And I have to say, it warmed my heart, and I know that it warmed the hearts of many of our members that had an opportunity to see that presentation, to see the colorful images of the building, of the children's faces, the fact that they now have sustainable learning in an environment that's going to, like you said, it's going to attract teachers to stay, and so on and so forth. And there's just so many positives that came out of that. And I got to tell you, it's one of the nicest, most enlightening presentations I've seen in quite a while. And I'm sure I'm sure our members would say the same thing. And again, to see all of the children in their little uniforms in a sustainable learning environment is just great to see. And the fact that they actually have a structure now that they can go to learn and enhance their capacity and so on and so forth. So thank you so much on behalf of our club. And we're going to continue to support Schools of Dreams by making a donation of $1,000 towards the.
Oh my gosh.
So on behalf of the club, I'd like to thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, this is so unexpected, but I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks, Myra. Thank you, Barb. We're going to continue with our business until 8:30. You're welcome to stay on with us, but if you have somewhere else to be, just drop off the call whenever you need to. Okay.
If you don't mind me staying, I will stay. But if it's like private business, I don't mind.
Stay on. That's okay.